Hey there, Merry Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Hey there, Merry Christmas. It's the Merry Christmas Show. This is Jason Eagle, your natural health authority for strategic healing. And we got a show today, and it's on Christmas. It's Christmas Day. So I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, especially if you're listening to me on Christmas Day. What an honor it is. So I really appreciate it. And I want to talk first of all in the beginning about Christmas a little bit, like what I call the stages of Christmas. So we all started Christmas as a child, and whether we were a Christian or not, we get exposed to Christmas. And the very first thing about the first stage of Christmas is you're a child. So you are in the receiving mode. You're not, when you're a baby, you're not going to buy a present. You don't owe anybody a present. You just receive the present. You get the present, and there it is for you. So the first stage is to receive. Then we get into the second stage is as we start to get a little bit older, then we get to more maturity. And after we've, let's say, watched the Charlie Brown Christmas and everything, it's about giving. So, and I remember going to have money to go buy presents for family members. I remember that whole thing, and I'm very excited about it that I get to be a giver now. And you're excited about that. And then as we get older, maybe it's in your teenage years or something like that, we start to get into where we are disenchanted, where it's kind of an obligation to give. And maybe we've had a number of Christmases that we didn't really get what we wanted, and we get kind of sour, and we get kind of disenchanted with it. And some people never go through these stages, and they stay, just happy with Christmas. But this is normal. This is actually the process of, and actually your body and your mind and everything and your whole personality going through the changes. And then we get into what we would call the Scrooge phase, which is the Scrooge phase it's normal. And bah humbug, which is I've seen that people just are interested in just buying this stuff, which is even in the Charlie Brown Christmas, where they was like, it's all commercialism. Charlie Brown, don't you know that this Christmas thing is just a hooey? And you just get selfish, and because sometimes we've gotten hurt, and so we just kind of hunker down and just kind of lose it. And then we get into we start looking at noticing some of the other things about Christmas. So, wait a minute, maybe this is a pagan holiday, and if we're a Christian, we start kind of looking at that and start looking into the information about it's a December 25th, and then we heard, well, wait a minute, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th. He was probably born on September 29th or September something like that, because the shepherds were out in the fields. And then we start kind of going, wait a minute, this whole thing about Christmas is, we even start to kind of pull back. It's normal for people to kind of go, I really feel a little strange about doing this thing. Then you can get it back. So you can get it back, because the whole point is all of that stuff is true, which is there are other religions and things like that celebrate this time. But it doesn't change the fact that, like, for instance, okay, December 25th is, so we get to December 21st, and December 21st, that is the summer or the winter solstice. The winter solstice is the sun has gone down, the sun has gone into the ground, and in fact, if you cosmologically, you'll notice that the sun stays in the ground for 3 days. And then on the third day, which is December 25th, the sun rises and it goes straight up. And then we know that we're in the middle of the winter, but this is like, okay, we're coming, we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to come through the other side. And there's a reason to hope. And so it's written into the architecture. And so forget about whether the pagans did this or whatever. This is written into the story of man, and it is what you make it. And then you can get it back, which is it is this whole thing about taking ownership for it and processing it and going, well, who cares about what they said it was? Who cares about what they've done with it? I'm going to do with it, and I'm going to remember what it was for me. And even if we had a bad Christmas when we were younger, it's like, it's my time now. This is my Christmas. This is my family. This is my time. And my time is then we go into this other phase of where it's like, okay, now we have the sharing. Now we have where it has become what we want to make it into. And then we get to the full round, which is now not only do we enjoy getting the presents, but we enjoy giving the presents. Now, there's some phases that people can get stuck in. And it's not just Christmas. It's a lot of times when I see people that come in that want health and they want healing, and it's both men and women that have this, but I see that it's what I call the Jewish grandmother, which is, and I'm sorry, I don't mean any disrespect, but it is this oh, none for me, honey, it's only for you, I don't want, and then you go to give them a gift and they won't receive it. So they just want to see the look on your face. Well, if you're a giver, if you are not in the place of receiving, then you are robbing other people of giving. They want to see that look on your face. Like, everybody wants to see the kid, the unabashed kid, just kind of go, oh my God. Like, family and parents come in and say, now make sure you say thank you. Now make sure that you have something for them. Well, going back to the very beginnings, as a child is not expected to give anything. And so they are full of glee, right? So could you be, even as an older person, as an adult through this process, going, you know what? I am a giver, and I thought about them, and I gave them, I put thought into it, and I matched the gift up to, and sometimes the gift is time, but the best ones are the ones where you really thought about that person and thought about their personality. Well, what about them thinking about you too? You have to be in this place of receiving, which is you have to kind of put your arms down and stop, thinking that it's only you to take. It's a control mechanism. So we want to be in control, but we also want to be in an area of I guess you would call it not control, which is, a kid is not in control of, like, oh, goody, like, I got it. That was amazing. You couldn't control that. That's what you want to see, the look on their face. But they want to see the look on your face too, and not fake it. Be genuine. Be real. So, does it, the light, that sunlight, the light of the sun, does it finally come, which is receiving and giving wholeheartedly, and then taking it in and enjoying it. Yes, that's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown. Ring a ding ding, that's what Christmas is all about. So I've gone through these stages, and I recommend that you notice these stages and then you start to really kind of put some thought to it. And then the other thing too is just that this is food. We get into this time of year of food and scents and smells and things like that. And one of my first recommendations that I got here, which is slow down, slow your roll. Sit there and enjoy the bites. Don't just gobble it down. I know it's a tendency to just gobble it down because it's so good, and we maybe you want to get to the football game. Maybe, slow down. Everyone's got a DVD player which you can rewind on it, and you don't have to. So take your time, because it helps with your digestion. And so that we don't get we don't tend to get the indigestion. We don't get where the stomach is, and we overfilled ourselves because we really should have stopped 20 minutes ago, and we just keep at, now we're miserable. But if you slow it down, and then also when you're slowing, stop and look around, look at the people, take in the sights and the smells, and just let it fill your heart, let it fill your soul, just as it fills your belly. And that's what Christmas is all about. So, I recommend that this is a time of year. And the other thing, that this is a time of year where I'm going to get into the foods and get into all these different things about Christmas, because there's some real meaning behind absolutely everything. And the other thing that I wanted to say about this with this Christmas show is that it's all about your body. It's all about your body, mind, the mind and the body. This time of year is all, and I can take you through it. Every single bit of it was thought out because it had reasons for what your body was. So I'm going to take a commercial and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I'll be home for Christmas. You can count on me. All right, and Christmas carols. Yeah, Christmas carols are very important because singing is very important about raising our vibrations and joining in and all these other things. So I wanted to get into some of the foods of Christmas. Christmas is, it's really more so, it's a northern hemisphere holiday because in the southern hemisphere at this winter solstice, they're going into summer solstice, which is they're going into, it's the longest day of their year. It's the longest night of our year. So, but the whole world celebrates Christmas at the same time. Well, one of the reasons why is because there's more people that live in the northern hemisphere than do in the southern hemisphere. And that's also true about where we live now, where the modern world really truly lives in terms of, if you look at it as a body, there's the lower half of the body and then there's the upper half of the body. And the upper half of the body is we are in the heart, we are in the throat, and we are in the head. And that is the progression of people's lives. That's the progression of what you would call enlightenment. That's the enlightenment of the soul, the enlightenment of the mind, and where the heart then goes into the throat, and where now you say it, and you say what you mean, and you mean what you say. You feel it. Sometimes even those are hard words because it's really out of love. And then it's also combined with the head, the thoughts, and then beyond that, which is my higher thoughts, even beyond what I can think of. So one of the things about the northern climates, it's true in the southern climates too, but there's not that many people that live that south where it's really cold. Most people in the southern hemisphere live towards the warmer climates, but up in the northern hemisphere, this time of year is winter time and it's hunkered down. It is get ready for the long winter ahead. And now, so at the December 25th, now those that have been in that long dark night in the cold where the body is shivering, and you better keep that wood fire going, and you better keep bundled up and hopefully have enough food. And it's the quality of the food, which is, what types of foods are going to keep you warmer. It's all the Christmas stuff. So, but when we get into December 25th, we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and maybe I can go on. Maybe I'm going to have a reason to keep going. So there's the foods of this season. Let's get into the ones that are just the Christmas ones, which is the three wise men. What did the three wise men bring? The three wise men brought frankincense, myrrh, and gold. Now, usually we go the other way, but I'm going to start with those ones. What is frankincense? Frankincense is it's a tree. It's a bush, and it grows all over the world, but in particular in that area, which would be the Middle East, frankincense is this. It has like a sap, and the sap dries, and this sap is then used as an incense. And it's an incense that, so the whole idea of that is we're going to give you, so incense, the idea of incense was just, these were the prayers that went up to God, because smoke goes up. So frankincense was used as like I said, an incense. But frankincense is also, it smells really, really great. And when you burn this incense, it gets into the air, and what it does is it kills the dark beings. It kills the dark night, which is it's antibacterial, it's antimicrobial. It will, frankincense is one of the things that will literally, like the plague type of things, it will kill that. So it's a healing thing. Frankincense can also be taken internally, and internally it does some of the same things inside the body, which is it helps to balance what we now know in modern science is what's called the microbiome, which is your gut microbiome, which is you want to have the good guys and you want to get rid of the bad guys. Now, the bad guys they can be there. It's just not so much. When we get into myrrh, myrrh is another thing that is this plant that makes it this kind of sap. It can also be burned as an incense, but myrrh is something that can be taken internally. And in particular, it's one of the things that's used for dental. Myrrh is a thing that, both of these things, frankincense and myrrh, you can get them from a number of essential oil companies that have this high grade, which is very pure. It's what's called a dietary level, which is a dietary grade, meaning you can take it internally. And so, when you, in particular for the dental infection, what it does is it kills the bacteria that is the dental bacteria. It kills the things that is feeding off of inside of our gums, the caries dental, as well as gingivitis. And so it helps with, like, again, if you have, let's say, bleeding gums or something like that, get some myrrh, some of this myrrh essential oil, and put it on some floss. And they make a lot of toothpaste that have myrrh in it. So it's really good for this type of stuff inside the body. Then we get into gold. Gold, what is, gold is definitely, it's a material. You wear it as jewelry, and it's something that, we associate with royalty and kings and things like that. But gold is also something that can be taken internally. Now, if you haven't heard about it, there's what's called colloidal silver. Colloidal silver is silver particles, nanoparticles that have been infused into this liquid, and it can be taken internally, can be put topically. A lot of Band-Aids have this colloidal silver because it's better than the antibiotic creams. And in fact, many hospitals are, instead of the antibiotic, because the antibiotic infused Band-Aids and things like that, bandages, they can create the superbugs, whereas what kills the superbugs is this colloidal silver. But you can also get colloidal gold, or even better, you can get what's called monatomics. Monatomic gold. Colloidal is very, very small nanoparticles, but monatomic, which is it's the smallest of the smallest. And it's these liquids that you can take. There's a company called Secret Energy. You can go to their secretenergy.com, and they have a store there which you can buy monatomic gold, and you can take it internally. There's a whole bunch of other of these metals that this is part of our health and our healing. It is, like I said, it's antimicrobial. Now, if you remember back in the days of inside of the Solomon's temple, in the temples back in those days, they had these vessels, and even the kings had these vessels. The kings drank out of gold cups, solid gold cups or gold-lined cups, because what it does is it releases this colloidal gold and colloidal silver, and they would wash their hands, but they would also drink it. And what it would do is it would go in their body and it would kill these bad things, but it also acts as an electrical potential, which is your electromagnetic field, of which you are an electromagnetic field. It makes it so that the electrical spark, the magnetic field goes through. If anyone knows about audio equipment, like for instance, high grade audio equipment, when you plug it in, those are gold plugs. Those are the highest quality, because the copper is okay, but the gold is even better if you don't want any of this interference of the noise. So gold allows for the transfer of energy the most out of anything else. Then we get into a number of other things. So some of the other foods, cinnamon. Everybody associates cinnamon. Now, cinnamon and a number of these other things, like cinnamon and cloves and orange and chocolate and rosemary, and these are things that are very smelly. They have wonderful smells. And what the smell does is they affect not only and I'll get into the chemistry of these things, but smells activate our limbic system. Our limbic system is the deep part of our brain that is the psycho-emotional memory. Many of us have had that, where you smell chocolate or you smell clove or something like that, and suddenly you are transported in your memory back to grandma's kitchen. And it's almost as if you're there. You have the feeling of warmth on the inside, and it triggers the memories, and it helps with healing. This is what the limbic system is. And so going back to cinnamon is one of these great things. And cinnamon can even be taken as, let's say, a pill form, or you can grind up cinnamon and put it in some water and drink it down. It's good for blood sugar. It helps to balance your blood sugar. So if people tend towards being pre-diabetic or even diabetic, it helps you with your regulation of your blood sugar. Tastes great. So put some in your coffee. Put some, again, you can buy capsules of it. You can get a tincture of it. So cinnamon is very, very healthy for the system. Get into chocolate. Chocolate is one of these smells. Chocolate and coffee is one of these things, no matter where you're born in the world. It's what's called epigenetics, which is stored memory. And we've stored, everyone around the planet has stored it, whether they've ever encountered it or not. It's stored in the human biome, and especially in the limbic system, with chocolate and coffee. Let's get back to chocolate. Chocolate's very high in magnesium. Now, we have a lot of sugar that goes with it, but chocolate is one of these things that you can get raw cacao, which is cacao beans or cacao powder, which my wife puts it in smoothies and stuff like that. It tastes kind of bitter, but it actually has a good flavor, and you can add it. You can sweeten it with some stevia, so you don't even have to put any real sugar in it, but you're getting the benefit of the chocolate. And the chocolate is one of these things that also affects the nervous system. It helps the blood flow, but it makes you happier, as well as providing the magnesium. Cloves. Cloves are these things that cloves is one of the herbs that is in a antiparasitic. So there's the one of the master antiparasitic formulas is cloves, wormwood, and black walnut hulls. So in particular, this is for like liver flukes. But cloves is one of the things that kills the egg forms. So we get three different stages of parasites that live in, you've got in the adult stage, you've got the larval stage, which is like kind of the little adolescent worms, and you got the egg stage, which is the eggs are encysted, and they basically are little kind of time bombs that are waiting to be opened. And clove is also clove can also be used. So, for instance, if you go into a dental office, oftentimes you go, God, I got a whiff of cloves. It produces a chemical called eugenol, and eugenol is something that if you got a sore tooth, so if you go to CVS and you see that toothache stuff, I got a toothache. It's this oil, the oil of clove, and you put it on a little cotton ball and stick it in there right where the toothache is, takes the toothache pain right away. One of the reasons why it takes the pain away is because it's killing the infection. So the pain is coming from the swelling and just these bugs. Let's say if you've got a dead tooth, or you've gotten the bacteria has gotten up inside there and is putting pressure on the tooth, which is pushing on the nerve. So and a lot of times dentists will use straight eugenol as a topical as they're drilling or as they are in. It's a formula that will, like I said, kill the dental infection and then relieve pain. You can put eugenol even on your body in terms of, it's a numbing agent. It will numb your gums. It will numb your mouth, okay, which is very, very healthy and helpful if you're in pain. We get into rosemary and thyme. Rosemary is so good for the blood flow, so good for thinning the blood out, but not too much. Thyme is also a anti-infective. All of these things, if you really look at these different herbs and things like that, they are the antidote to the dark times. This is the dark night of the soul, which is the winter time, and when things are dark. So let's also talk about darkness inside the body, which is the blood flow is what brings light. Okay, if the Bible says that the life is in the blood, well, literally it is, because that's oxygen. So most of these bacteria and other things that kind of the dysbiosis, they feed off of what's called anaerobic, which is anaerobic means away from the oxygen, also away from the light. So a lot of these things, when we eat them, what they do is they stimulate blood flow. They stimulate oxygenation. They actually have compounds to kill these other bacteria. And so the dark beings, this brings the light in, and then it starts to then give your body the strength to kind of fight back, as well as to just be in harmony and balance. Because we really, when we understand what's called the microbiome, this is not about going in with napalm and just destroying everything. It's about bringing the balance back in, our own police force, to kind of say, you know what, we just want to be in harmony and balance. And these things that do the killing, they don't just like napalm. What they do is just they balance things out. I could go on, but if you just think about these different things, this is the time of year where we bring these things in, because not only are they memory, and they're spicy and they're smelly and they really are just wonderful and they warm your soul up, but they also are the antidote for this time of year. Another one of the things, the antidote, if you think about this time of year, is the eating. It's just like, if you go over to Europe, they make a lot of cakes and cookies that have fat in them, have high levels of, whether it be the butter fat or even, for instance, suet. So minced meat pies, that was one of my father's favorite. I remember tasting it when I was a kid. It's like, oh God, it's kind of bitter. He loved it. Well, minced meat pies actually has bits of meat in it, and raisins that are soaked in rum and oranges and things like that. But it also has suet, suet is the, you put that out for the birds. It's this fat. It's pure, let's say, cow fat. And the reason is that, and then again, like I said, if you go over to Europe and other places, and they make these cookies and cakes and sweets that are almost like fat with some other sweetness and some honey. Because the point is this is the time of year where, if you're in the cold climates, you want to put some weight on, and you want to get some fat on you. When you come out of the cold, if you've been stuck in the freezing weather, first thing that a natural body reaches for is fat. Not necessarily sugar and not necessarily alcohol to warm you up, but it's fat, because fat produces so much heat and so much energy. And so this time of year, we go for the fatty things and make them sweet. But it's written into the code of this time of year of what our body is looking for, what our soul is looking for, what our family is looking for is the good memories, but also health. Okay, so now we're going to get into some of the other issues of... well, before I get into that, let me take a little break here, and we're going to take a break and be right back. Okay, everybody, we are back, and so now we're going to get into what we call inflammation health. So there's a number of different things that we can do, and so, as I said, which is the dark things, they cause the inflammation. Usually inflammation is a relationship to a couple things. Number one, all inflammation is resting on top of the foundation of what we call insulin resistance, meaning we are not receiving the insulin as the antidote for the sugar. And so our blood sugar stays too high. And so, but the other thing is when your blood sugar stays too high, then you've got too many particles of sugar dissolved in the blood, which means anything above 100, if you were to prick your finger, anything above 100 for more period of time, anything above 100 is enough to grow what's called nanobacteria. Nanobacteria live inside the blood cells, and they are the things, as they're going through your tubes, they are scraping at the insides, creating erosions. And so our body produces what's called smooth muscle tissue and plaque in order to spackle that. So the thing that is clogging up the heart is not necessarily from diet. There's some debate about this, but this is really the thing, which is inflammation. There is damage. And so the inflammation is there because it's trying to heal damage. Well, the damage is, like I said, coming from too much sugar and these different types of things. But once we've gotten into damage for too long, then the cells become hardened. It builds up scar tissue. And so sometimes even the pain inside our body is coming because it's all scarred up, and it's pulling on you, and it's pulling on your tissues. So one of the very first things that we can do for inflammation is break up that scar tissue. And the scar tissue is made out of protein. So we can take this supplement called phytozymes. Phytozymes are proteolytic enzymes. Proteolytic enzymes are protease digest protein. And so you take phytozymes on an empty stomach so that it doesn't go into, because it will digest the protein in your food. You want it to take, so like as soon as you wake up, you take 2 of them, and then you find 2 other times of the day where it's 3 hours after a meal and about 20 minutes before your next meal. That's an empty stomach window. And what you want to do is you want to take 2, 3 times a day on an empty stomach. And what the phytozymes do is it goes into the bloodstream because it's not digesting the food, or the protein in the food. It's digesting. Make sure. Hold on. Good. It's digesting the fibrin. Okay, the excess fibrin that the scar tissue is, and so it will start to just kind of get rid of the hoarding. And that's what's happening. Is as much of our pain and inflammation is coming because it's become all hardened up. Get into another thing is what's called resveratrol. Resveratrol is in grapes, but there's a lot of pesticides that are in grapes, and so we prefer to make it from what's called giant knotweed. Giant knotweed has high levels of resveratrol. Resveratrol is an antioxidant. Antioxidants are these things that are the antidote for inflammation. It's basically, it's money. It's energy, and it helps to pay off the body that's trying to repair, and so that the repair job is able to be really finished. And so a lot of times the inflammation is because the body has not fully repaired. We get into another thing as I talked about before, which is fat, essential fatty acids. We are very low in this country, and so a lot of inflammation is coming because we're just too low in essential fatty acids. So the EPA DHA, that's a fish oil. You can get it in a capsule or a liquid. You can get the DHA, which is a plant-based form, or the EPA DHA, which is a fish oil form. Also, just adding this into your diet, more fats, more healthy fats. And the more healthy fats that you eat, you will find that, like in particular, the joints that are achy, it's almost like the Tin Man. You got like an oil change, and it doesn't hurt anymore. So getting your essential fatty acids will help you and it's remarkable when you have people that wake up with pain, that they start to supplement or just really focus on eating more healthy fats. They find that the pain is really dramatically better. Another thing that is really good for inflammation health is what's called phytomethylates. And phytomethylates is these B vitamins, because a lot of inflammation comes from our liver, the detoxification of our liver. Our liver is this main detoxification organ. And if we have slow detoxification, then we tend to build up these things inside the body and inflammation all over the body. So phytomethylates helps to, number one, gives you this phytoforms, which is these plant forms of B vitamins, but it also gives you what's called methyl donors. And methyl donors are in the cell structure. It's basically you're born with an inheritance. Each cell has a certain amount of methyl groups, and as we eat, you spend some of the methyl groups. Okay, and if you eat raw foods, you spend the least amount, right? But if you eat cooked foods without really spectacular digestion, you lose a bunch of methyl groups. So the HCl is a great thing for the stomach. It helps it's what's called trimethylglycine. But we can get into another thing, which is remethylization, which is, could you have more put into your account than taken out? Yes. The methyl donors are things that instead of just kind of ending up breaking even, you can actually add to your account. Then we get into another one, which is for inflammation health, which is the aloe-mannan. Aloe-mannan, which is this capsule, you can even take aloe as a drink. D-mannose is one of these 8 healing sugars. So the inflammation is often because we're in pain from the bad things that are eating us, the bad things that are living in us. So when we talked about like these different bacterias and viruses and other things, they're living inside you, they're eating your body, and they're also kind of leaving a big mess around. So what the aloe-mannan does is it feeds your good bacteria. It feeds your good microbiome. It also delivers oxygen. So a lot of times the pain in our body is like it's been choked and it's starving, and so it's a lot of pain. So providing the nutrients for your good microbiome as well as giving oxygen is a huge thing to be able to really go after inflammation. You start to put these things together, and people that have a lot of pain from inflammation, wow, you see it dramatically, really, really gets a lot better. Let me go into... Yes, so we get into this time of year where we get a lot of stress, okay? A lot of people, this is Christmas time. There's high levels of suicides this time of year because, again, people they give up. And there's just so much going on. And a lot of times the depression is coming from just the memories of the times where you didn't get what you need and all the bad things and all the expectations and all this other stuff that are not met. We're really hard on ourselves. We're really hard on each other. And so going back to that's what Christmas is all about, Charlie Brown, this is to take stress away. This is to take the stress away from other people. So if the season is not de-stressing you and it's adding stress, or just any time of year, what are some of the things that we could do for stress? There's just a whole bunch, but let's just get into, first of all, just the supplements in terms of what are the things that I can take. That's easy for people. The things in terms of doing meditations, and you would think those are easy because those are free, but they're not. They're really harder on people. So many times people kind of need this whole idea of the silver bullet. Yeah, it's not going to get you to the home run, but for many people, it's a starting phase. So taking some supplements are very, very helpful. First one that we would really look at is what's called adaptogen. Adaptogen is these herbs, rhodiola, ginseng. They're all these different types of herbs that are what's called adaptogenics. And adaptogenics they're able to adapt, meaning, so if your hormones, so a lot of times stress is related to hormones. And if your hormones are completely out of whack, like the woman that gets the PMS is, not every woman gets PMS. A lot of women, especially if your liver is healthy and you've got these different systems that are working, they're fine. You don't even notice it. But for women that, and men can go through menopausal stages too. And if your hormones are out of whack, meaning I have too little of these ones and too many of these ones, and they're completely out of whack, what the adaptogens do is they're these herbs that come into our body, and the herbs work with our body in the sense that they adapt to whatever you need, which is, if you need me to wear this coat, I'll be this. If you need me to wear this coat, I'll be this. So the adaptogens, if these hormones are too high, these adaptogens will lower them. And if these hormones are too low, these adaptogens will raise them, but then put them in the correct balance. So getting on the adaptogen is something that is great. You can take them in the morning, you can even take them in the evening. Stress, the complete B. So many people are very, very deficient in B vitamins. B vitamins are, especially if you get people that have decided to go, let's say, vegan, or have decided to go more plant-based, or have decided to kind of clean up their diet. And but what happens is it's hard to get B vitamins in if you're doing, let's say, a vegan diet or plant-based diet. It's hard to get B12. It's hard to get these. So taking a B supplement is very, very important. I will tell you that in Germany, the way that the doctors work, which is Germany makes the best drugs in the world. It's where Bayer is from. Okay, so they're not against drugs. So, but if you go into a doctor's office and you are complaining of depression and things like that, like here, you'll have doctors that will just put you on a number of different medications, whether it be Prozac or this or that. Over there, the law is they have to first put you on a B vitamin first for a period of time. And if those don't fully work, then they can put you on. But because many people, when you raise the B vitamins and get the B vitamins up, so much depression and stress goes away. So a complete B, they make a complete B capsules. Again, when I talk about these supplements and things like that, you can contact my office. Jason Eagle, strategichealing.us. You can go to my website. You can also contact me, 734-985-5891. And you can get a hold of the supplements and the B complex. We have a number of different B complexes. The Max Stress B is a liquid. We have the complete B capsules. You combine the complete B capsules with the phytomethylate. And now you got a full range of these B vitamins, super, super bioavailable. And they are all in what's called the end chain forms, We're talking methylcobalamin, not cyanocobalamin. We're talking the B3 in the form, the what's called the fully reduced form. So as soon as it goes into your body doesn't have to use any of its energy to digest it. Magnesium for stress. Many times people are stressed, which is their muscles are tight. Okay, muscles work on a chemical messenger. So to make a muscle fiber contract, you need a calcium ion. We got calcium all over the place. But to make a muscle release and become relaxed, you have to have a magnesium go in. Well, magnesium we're very deficient because there's not a whole lot of magnesium in. Now, where do you get high sources of magnesium? The greens, raw greens or even cooked greens, spinach, kale, these types of things. You got a whole bunch of people that don't eat their greens, and so they're not going to get their magnesium. Yes, there's magnesium in chocolate, but you get people there's also sugar that comes into the chocolate. Magnesium is something that also, if it's not the right form, or if it's the form there's all these magnesium citrate, magnesium lactate, magnesium chloride. There's all these different forms, and so getting magnesium supplementation, you'll find it gets the muscles to relax. It's kind of like a chill pill. It's kind of like Valium for your muscles. And it really, really works. You find people that go, what is it? Like, these people are just getting on my nerves. But they're tense. Their body is tense. And so your body is sending these signals to your brain and to your heart. And so is it really that you just can't handle it? Is it really that it's them and not you? Well, it's a combination, but, can you roll with it? That's the biggest thing. And if we just don't have these chemicals in our body, these substrates, if they're too low in our system, our body will not be able to do it. So providing that. Then we get into what's called taurine. Taurine, that's Red Bull. The Red Bull that's why it's called Red Bull, because taurine, a lot of the old formulas is they make actually taurine from bull urine. Yuck. Okay, don't want that. You want other forms, but that's why Red Bull is the bull, because it provides one of the biggest supplements that's inside Red Bull and other drinks like that is what's called taurine. Now, the taurine that they put in that stuff is the cheapest that they can find. It is most likely inorganic sources, not good for your body, and it really can, kind of mess you up. So getting a good taurine source. What taurine does is it helps your gallbladder to work better, helps you to produce good, nice, slippery bile, nice, thin bile, and that helps you to digest fats. And the more fats that you can digest, the more that also, so the thinner your bile is the more that your liver can clean itself out, that your liver can stay clean. And so stress being related to B vitamins, being related to liver function, if we can provide good gallbladder liver function, because they're connected. The gallbladder is connected to the liver, and it's kind of like hides right up underneath there. It's a storage tank for the bile. The bile is produced in the liver, and then it gets stored into the gallbladder so that it gets squirted into the digestive system when you eat fat. Okay? So taurine is one of these things that, so again, like I said, is how does that relate to stress? Totally. It softens your body. It softens your whole system. It also cleans out your filters so that you don't build up this, I'm holding on to it, and it's like holding on to hot coals. Well, no wonder you're stressed, because you're holding on to things that are toxic and hurting your body. So, and this is this time of year where it would be great if you could just join with the goodwill toward men, and that's men and women, which is the season is here to do this. Can you perceive it? Can you be part of it? Can you also lead it? Not just the one that receives it, but then the one that kind of literally says, I'm giving the party, and it doesn't have to be a physical party. It's the party of joy in your heart. It's the, we're talking about opening doors. We're talking about smiling. We're talking about being able to laugh, being able to be part of the fun. And if you are too tense, you're not going to be able to do that. Or you can, but maybe you're faking it. And that's one of the problems. If you fake something, then it becomes not true. And then, it's a resentment that builds up inside of you. And so if you are going to do it, it's better to be genuinely happy and better to really be there. We're kind of up toward the end here, and I'm going to go through a couple other. Yes, so now, okay, what's one of the other classic things about Christmas, which is, Mama and, her kerchief and me and my hat. It's sleep. What was the important thing before that's sleeping? Can you sleep the night before Christmas? Can you sleep, so that he will come? And can you sleep well? And can you not sleep, waiting for the other shoe to drop? Can you really sleep? And it's not just this time of year, but, that's one of the things is this year has thought of everything, which is, we want you to be excited, but you got to get a good sleep. And you have to really be knocked out in order for you to wake up with the, sleep out of your eyes and go, wow, look at that. So sleep health. Sleep health is there's a number of different supplements that we could take. And I talked a little bit earlier before, which is the condition of your bedroom. Make sure it's dark. Get all the electronics out of it. Get the TV out of there. Get the screens out of there. Getting blackout curtains, or even getting that eye shade type of thing, that you can buy that like kind of, you wear and it's just like a mask, the eye mask that blackens it out. And so the darker the room. I also talked about heavy blankets, keeping the room colder rather than hotter. It means that because when it's really hot, you're going to keep waking up and waking up. So get bundled up, but keep the room cold. Then when we get internally, what are some of the internal things that we can do? Tranquinol. Tranquinol is it's an herb that you can take, these pills, capsules. They're all different herbs, but it has some of the different herbs in particular, not lobelia, but valerian. I always get those messed up. Valerian root is a very, very strong sedative. The capsules have a really nice kind of flowery smell to it. And that's because it also has what's called ziziphus, or over in India, that's the jujube. The jujube plant, ziziphus flowers they affect your neurotransmitters. They help to unscramble your neurotransmitters. They help you to bring you back in the brain waves, especially the brain waves of sleeping, the brain waves of which is when you are in REM stage sleep, when you're deep sleep, then you come up to a stage of REM stage sleep, what they call rapid eye movement. That's typically where we're doing our dreaming and things like that. Is when they look at the brain waves, you've got alpha, beta, theta, and zeta waves, and they all, when we're awake, these ones are going like this, kind of like when you look at the computer, my hard drive is doing this and the Wi-Fi is doing this. They're all doing different things. But as we sleep, when we get into the stage, they all harmonize. They all are doing basically the same wave together. And then that sends a wave out to your whole body that then basically reshuffles the deck, and it's kind of like sleeping and good sleeping where we're getting the type of REM stage sleep. It's like the computer does the antivirus mode and the defrag mode. It basically puts everything back where it's supposed to be. So Tranquinol is a really great thing that helps to kind of just set up the brain waves and provide these nutrients to bring your brain back to its original chemistry. And sometimes people never had the original chemistry. They don't know what original was because they were born stressed, or they were born in where things were kind of messed up. But the memory is in the world. The memory is in the plants. The plants remember who you are supposed to be. That's why these smells and all these tastes and all these things is they bring you back to a greater sense of you, who you were, who you're supposed to be, and who we are together. Then we get into another supplement called melatonin. Melatonin is these drops. So melatonin is something that's produced in the brain. Then it's produced at nighttime. But then melatonin, if we have enough melatonin, then melatonin will then turn into serotonin, which then can then combine into dopamine. And serotonin, dopamine are the happy as well as just like chill and nice and calm. Well, we produce melatonin when we're sleeping. And if we don't produce enough melatonin, then we won't have enough serotonin during the day. So taking a melatonin is really good to help you to reorganize what's called the circadian rhythms. So a lot of times when people are deficient in melatonin, that's the jet lag, which is, if you flew over to China, you would wake up in the middle of the night 3 days in a row because it's completely opposite time. And so melatonin, and it takes your time for your what's called the circadian rhythms or the mind clock, the body time clock, to get back onto where it is. Melatonin helps you to immediately get back to where it is. So a lot of times when people say typically wake up at, let's say, 3 a.m., 3, 4 a.m., that's the melatonin. Tranquinol is the thing that helps you to fall asleep. If you can't fall asleep, tranquinol helps you. But if we're waking up and we can't stay asleep, the melatonin is very good for that. Also, sleep health, we get into magnesium, which is your muscles. If your muscles are too tight, your muscles can be very, very locked down, and your body's too rigid, and really your body's supposed to relax, and the blood flow is supposed to. So the magnesium helps to kind of relax your muscles. Now, there's one other thing, which is there's a kind of secret. This is what the Chinese discovered with the acupuncture meridians, is that your brain is connected to every single organ, right? By the nerves. So there's a nerve that goes from your brain that connects to your gallbladder, okay? But what the Chinese discovered is these meridians actually are, if you think about your magnetic field, it's like the Wi-Fi. It's basically like, when you have a phone that's connected to a wire, where is that signal? It's in the wire. It's between that phone to that phone, the wire, okay? But when you have wireless or you're listening to the radio, where is the signal? It's all around you. It's waves that are all around you. That's what the body is that our neurologic system is basically a landline hardwire system, but the wires are Wi-Fi nodes that send these Wi-Fi all over the place. So one of the things that they discovered is that what's called the gallbladder meridian is the longest one in the whole body, and it goes around your head, but it goes back behind what's called the mastoid process. And if you go deep inside to the brain inside there, that's what's called the deep sleep point. It relates to this part of the brain that is the alpha, beta, and theta waves. So another thing that people say if they wake up at, say, 3 a.m. and feel like the buzzer's gone off and they can't go back to sleep, that's the gallbladder meridian. If the gallbladder is jammed, and because right around 1 to 3 a.m. is when the gallbladder then turns on, where that organ is at its optimum function. And so if that organ is kind of jammed, when that meridian turns on, if it's off, it will vibrate, and it basically kind of pokes at the deep sleep point and basically pulls you out of deep sleep. So the Ultra B6, so that's one of the top things that the gallbladder needs is levels of B6, because it helps the bile to be nice and liquidy and flowy. Choline is another good thing that we get, say, from eggs, the grass-fed, or the really good pasture-raised eggs, those really dark yellow ones that we have, like the orange ones. I have chickens, so when you raise chickens, you can see the difference between, let's say, a diner egg, which is like pale yellow, and like our eggs, which is like, it looks like pumpkin. Like, that is amazing, and they taste so amazing, but they have high levels of choline and B6 them, and that helps to kind of keep the liquidy, the bile liquidy. But also the thing that it does is it helps to keep you asleep. So when the gallbladder turns on, if the gallbladder has the nutrients that it needs to be nice and kind of unjammed, then we can, as the gallbladder turns on through that deep sleep point back in the brain, then the brain is not like, hey, wake up, wake up. It actually is allowed to stay asleep. So sleeping health is completely related to a bunch of these different organs. It's not just the brain. Like I said, it's the muscles, it's the blood flow, and the gallbladder. So these are these great ideas in terms of how can I wake up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to open those presents, ready to be there with the family, and ready to be really, excited to see the look on their face, but also let them be excited to see the look on my face. And you know what? I was bah humbug, but I'm not bah humbug anymore, because we only got this one life. You don't know if this is your last Christmas. And I'm going to tell you that there's so many people that, I've had a lot of clients and family members that have gotten old, and they either choose to hold on to this Christmas. I know a lot of people that are in the nursing home that they're on death's door, that wait for a baby to be born or wait for Christmas. And they hold on until Christmas, until the family comes around, and then they let go, and then they die. Sometimes you have it go the other way, which is they go just before Christmas because they don't want to be a burden. There's just something about this Christmas time. So, but the whole point is to be there. And if this is going to be, and I'm not putting this on anybody that's your last, because we never know which one. But this one could be your first one. You could have people that are 67 years old, 80 years old, that have had all of these, had horrible Christmases, had horrible times of the year, just because of the way their family was, the way their life was. This could be your one. This could be your new Christmas, where you are ready. You're ready to be there, and you're ready to be part of it, and you're ready to let it go in and let it shine in your heart, which then comes out of your voice, which then comes out of your head. And now you can dream, and now you can think about a new year and think about and we're coming into a new year. This new year is very special. This is 2020. In my next show, I'm going to do this one, which is on after 2020. What is 2020? First of all, 2020 is like, wow, I thought we would have been flying cars by now. This would have been Jetsons. Well, we kind of are. These phones and all these things, and the ability to talk to you and all that, this is like a flying car. It's better than a flying car. But also, 2020. What is 2020? 2020 is perfect vision. Perfect vision means that you see 20 feet. What you see at 20 feet is what the average person would see at 20 feet. And 20 means we've got pure, clear vision. I see what really is there. And can we really see what's really there? And this is the year where everything is going to be, the world is going to be more visible for all of us to see what it really is, what really our part of it is. And that's very important because of what's called in physics, in quantum physics, what's called the observer effect. People look at the world and kind of go, this is so horrible. What am I? What can I change it? So when you observe something, it goes out into the quantum world. And now I'll remind you that this is, so what's called the 4-minute mile. The 4-minute mile for millennia had always been this, no one got any faster than that. Maybe they did, but we weren't timing them. And when they were being timed, no one could get past that 4-minute mile. But once one person got past the 4-minute mile, suddenly there were people all over the planet that didn't hear that news, but suddenly they were able to go past the 4-minute mile. And then it just got better and better. So it went into the quantum consciousness that when it's discovered by one person, then it goes into the whole, because we're all connected. We literally, our neurologic field, the more we're understanding about the microbiome, was we are all connected. The forests are all connected underground through this mycelial network, which is one forest, if it's on fire, will send water. If the other forest is not on fire, it can even be hundreds of miles away. It will send water through the ground, and then the water will appear in the area and go up into the trees, and it will stop them from burning. It's this communication network. Well, we have this biocommunication network, and that's what's called the microbiome. And so the observer effect means is don't worry about what needs to be done about it. What needs to be done is it just needs to be seen. It just needs to be acknowledged. So can we see what's true about our life? Can we see what needs to be done? Can we see where we truly are? This year is giving to us that perfect vision, and it's going to be so much easier to see it. Now, there's going to be some things we don't like, but you know what? Once you see them, then they will change, because once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And that in and of itself changes it. Once something that was hidden becomes unhidden, it changes. Now it's not in the same state. Now it's not hidden anymore. Now it's not unbelieved. Now it's not discounted. Now it's changed. And so by observing something and seeing it for what it really is, that's all you got to do. That's all you have to do, is just see it and let it go in, and then rest. Okay, there's nothing more I have to do. I've already done it. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. I'll see you on New Year. My next show is going to be on New Year's Day, so I look forward to seeing you. Okay, till next time. Bye-bye.